Even that aimlessness, it looks as a nameless thing. You see, a work was done, pregnant with magic will, magic will, magic will, because you don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. Magic looks all really magic, you see. And change a divine, the first rising, the cosmic serpent pose, first rising, it has just started stirring. Life has entered to matter, and matter started moving, wobbling, writhing like a serpent. Now, serpent force, that is of course Kundalini. That is Kundalini. And he says cosmic serpent force, that is Vishwa Kundalini. Vishwa Kundalini. The world force, which is in fact Vishwa Kundalini, is nothing but the evolution itself. Evolution itself is the Vishwa Kundalini, and it is that Vishwa Kundalini, that evolution as a serpent is rising, climbing up, climbing up, climbing up. The first rising. So this is the beginning of time, first rising. Matter getting stirred with the presence of life is the beginning of this moment. The first rising, so the cosmic serpent pose, uncoiled from the mystic ring of matter's trance. She was there, locked in matter. That Kundalini Shakti, that cosmic force, is locked there in matter completely, you see. Now she is uncoiling slowly, you see. Now, this is, of course, a different kind of a Kundalini than the practitioners of Kundalini Yoga, which people do around here. Some yogis do that. This is a cosmic process. This is a cosmic process, not the individual. You awaken the Kundalini and then it rises and touches. It is for the individual. But this is the cosmic Kundalini. I mean, it is basically an image, a description of the process of evolution. You see, completely see. The first rising to the cosmic serpent pose, uncoiled from the mystic ring of matter's strand, it raised its head in the warm air of life. You see, that is the thing. That force, serpent force, it raised its head in the warm air of life. Yeah, the serpent force was lying in the coldness of matter. Under the icebergs of matter, it was lying there, dormant, completely, sleeping. Well, the image in the Puranas is Vishnu sleeping on his thousand-hooded serpent, you see, and then he is waking up and things are happening, you see. It raised its head in the warm air. You see, that's the difference. The entry of life into matter has brought a kind of a warmness, vibrancy, activity, action to matter. That warm stands for that, you see. Air of life. It could not cast off yet nice stiffening the sleeve, yet that serpent pose, that cosmic serpent pose, could not cast off yet nice stiffening sleeve. It is the hold of sleep is still there on matter. It could not completely give up, but then, or where as yet mind's wonder flecks and streaks. The serpent is there, it doesn't have those streaks now, wonder streaks. Or where as yet mind's wonder streak, put on the well-hood crown of soul, or stand erect in the blaze of spirit's sun. The serpent will rise up eventually, but it could not at the moment. But he is already seeing that kind of a thing happen in the course of time. The serpent force will rise and stand erect in the blaze of spirit's sun. The full power of evolution will open itself to the light and blaze of the sun. It is what it means. Light and blaze of the sun, or stand erect in the blaze of the spirit's sun, as yet were only seen foulness and food. Now, see, he is predicting the future. The spirit is seeing that thing. But at the moment, what is there as a fact of life in the evolutionary process, as yet were only seen foulness and force, ugliness, dirtiness. The secret crawl of consciousness to light, the secret crawl of consciousness to light, through a fertile slime of lust and battenings. And see, What a description! Battenings and beneath the body's crust of thickened cell, a tardy fervent working in the dark, the turbid yeast of nature's passionate chain, ferment to the soul's creation out of mire. This is the early beginning of life. See, very vivid description. See, as yet were only seen foulness and pose. Now he is giving certain examples of foulness and pose. You see, secret crawl of consciousness to light. Consciousness is coming to light. You see, through a fertile slime of lust and battenings and beneath the body's crust of thickened cell, a tardy fervent. See, this is one of the finest examples of modernist images in Savitri. What Eliot, what Ezra Pound, what these poets were trying to describe the reality of life, you see, wasteland. This is the example of that kind of a thing. That poetry can describe the ugly, the uncouth, the foul in its vividness. But the point is, when you are reading Ezra Pound or T.S. Eliot, those descriptions of the wasteland, those bones and mire and flesh and that kind of a thing, you get kind of repelled from that. You don't like it. You want to stay away from here. That does not happen in Savitri. That does not happen in Savitri. You see, he is giving the description of such a thing that you should be really repelled. I mean, secret crawl of consciousness through a fertile slime and battening sense and thickened skull and fervent and turbulent yeast of nature. See, one should kind of get it, but that's not repel. The power of Savitri's poetry is that it at once gives the joy, the intimacy, the kindness of reality which is real behind all that thing. And it is that reality which you experience and you enjoy. You do not get thrown away, you don't get repelled by that, you see.
What does battening mean?
Huh?
What does battening sense? Battening.
Which one?
The battening.
Battening, means fattening. Which battens you. Beat, batten. Yeah.
Okay.
Battening sense. Lust and battering sense, you see. See, he is giving the description of all this vital, at this lowest nature kind of a thing, you see. Beneath the body's crust of thickened cell, the tardy fervent, working in the dark, the turbid yeast of nature's passionate chain, ferment into the soul's creations out of mire. See, this is the description of the mire. Battened, thrived and prospered, especially at another's expense. At another's expense. Grew fat. That's what I was saying. Grew fat. Battening. Grew fat. Battened, thrived and prospered at somebody else's cost. At somebody else's cost. You see, you thrive, you are living as a guest in somebody's house and you enjoy without any care, without any consideration, all that thing, eat, everything kind of enjoy the life. So that is battening, you see. It is bad. In fact, that is what happened. That is what happened in the case of Odysseus. See, he was wandering for 20 years and all that thing, and when he reaches his house, he finds that his wife is being courted by half a dozen of courtiers. They were battening themselves all along in the house, you see. They were battening themselves all along, you see. That is battening self, you see. Battening sense beneath the body's crust of thickened self. A heavenly process dawned this grey disguise. Now, all this is for what? It has taken this as a disguise. A heavenly. Now, why all this thing? There is a purpose. Heavenly process, there is a logic behind it, the high logic, and with a purpose, it has put on this disguise. This lust, this thing, etc., etc., are not the real thing, but they are a kind of a necessity at a particular stage of development. And therefore this one is a fallen ignorance in its covert night. Labor to achieve is done, unseemly work. It is by that some work can be done. By taking this guy. A fallen ignorance. You see, already ignorance is fallen and it has gone fallen further down. In its covered night, labor to achieve is done, unseemly work. That it cannot be done at all. A camouflage of the inconscious need. Yeah, that is the need. To release the glory of God in nature's mud. God's glory is there in nature and that has to be released, and for that purpose you kind of put on a disguise and work through all that thing you see. So Shivananda gives you simultaneously both the happy picture and the fruitful picture also. The ugly picture, the frightening picture, and then you also have at once a kind of assurance that, well, all this is there, but then it is for a certain purpose. For what purpose? Glory of God in nature's mud to grow. Glory of God. That is the power of Savitri. That is the technique of Savitri. And that is why it does not really hurt you. His sight, spiritual in embodying of his sight, obviously Ashwapati's sight. Spiritual in embodying of eyes, again. Embodying eyes could pierce through the grey phosphorescent haze and scan the secrets of the shifting hue, shifting flux that animates these mute and solid cells and lead the thought and longing of the flesh to the keen lust and hunger of its will. There is a purpose behind that thing. He sees that thing. Spiritual embodying of could pierce through the grey phosphorescent haze. Phosphorescence. This word phosphorescent appears only once in Savitri. That is here. There are actually two words. One is phosphorescence and the other one is fluorescence. Fluorescence and phosphorescence. Now, they are actually technical words coming from physics. Phosphorescence and fluorescence, they are coming from physics. When light shines on an object, then immediately it gives out light, shows up itself, brightens itself. That is luminescence. Phosphorescence, when the light shines on it, the light may come immediately, may take a longer time also to appear. It becomes bright, it shines or gives something like that, it may take a longer time. Phosphorescence is a slow process, luminescence is immediate. Now in the case of fluorescence, the moment you remove the light, shining object, then that fluorescence also disappears immediately. It does not remain there. In the case of phosphorescence, although you may remove it, it may continue to glow for some more time. So there is a difference between fluorescence and phosphorescence, that it will continue to glow even for some time afterwards, you see. In fact, an object may, we have seen many times, you put an ultraviolet light and suddenly you show something different, you know. You showed X-ray, or you put even nuclear rays, alpha, beta, gamma rays on that, shine on that. It shines for a while, you see, scintillates, glows, you see. That is fluorescence as well as phosphorescence, you see. So, when what they call the black light shines on an object and it glows, black light shines on an object and it glows, then you have either fluorescence or phosphorescence. Fluorescence is immediate, phosphorescence may take time but lives longer even after that black light is removed. And what is the black light? Black light is described as the ultraviolet or the infrared radiation, because you don't see that, their food is black. You don't see that. Infrared or black or ultraviolet light, that is called the black light. So when you shine the black light on an object, a crystal starts suddenly glowing, you see, under the ultraviolet light. You have seen many colors, beautiful colors of its own kind, you see. So that is the so could pierce through the grey phosphorescent haze. So it is still mean although that light may not be there, it is still glowing. It is still glowing, you see. Spiritual embodying could pierce through the grey phosphorescent haze and scan the secrets of the shifting flux, the changes and all that thing. His eye, his sight, that animates this mute and solid cell. In fact, that is what happens in the case of the cells also. Microbiology, you shine a light and it starts glowing, you see, like that. You see. And leads thought and longing of the flesh and the keen lust and hunger of its will. So that is what the keen eyesight will see here.